All right, so we should be on this page here in your note packet. And the first two questions are just a little bit of review from that activity that we did yesterday about which cases allowed us to say that the triangles had to be congruent versus the cases that we were able to maybe create different triangles, and so it didn't necessarily lock in congruent triangles. So the situations that establish congruent triangles, those are the four that we just went over in your bell ringer. So remember, those were the side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. We also, though, had tests yesterday that we were able to get different triangles, and so it didn't necessarily make them be congruent to each other. There were 5 of those. Do you guys remember what those ones were? Those are all the cases that we said yes to yesterday.
SSA?
Nope, not that one. A and S.
SS?
SS. AAA and just AA. So those ones do not necessarily guarantee that you would have congruent triangles, because yesterday when we were working with those, we were able to kind of go from maybe I had this one, but you had this one. And so they didn't have to be congruent to each other. They were a little bit more flexible on what the triangle could be. All right, now if you remember, though, yesterday at the end of class, I said that those were 4 out of 5 congruence tests that we're going to talk about. Okay, and remember I said at the end of class yesterday, the 5th one is when it's angle, side, side. Okay, or as a joke, we'll maybe call it like the donkey postulate. Do you guys get the joke? Okay, thank you.
Or you just call it the real thing.
What?
I said, or you just call it the real thing.
No, because I don't need you guys going home saying, Mrs. Anderson said this in class today. And then getting parents from emails from parents. So we're going to talk about when can you use the angle side side rule, because there are times where it works and there are times where it doesn't work. Okay, and I'm also going to talk about how do I want you to write this on your paper, because I don't want you writing ASS all over your paper. Okay, I don't need you guys writing that stuff and calling me names on your homework. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at a website here to show you guys when angle side side works versus when it doesn't work. Okay, so this website is talking about the ambiguous case. Do you guys know what ambiguous means? It is a big word. Ambiguous means that there's more than one potential outcome. So it's kind of like unknown. We don't know for sure what's going to happen. It could go maybe one of 2 ways. So angle side side is known as the ambiguous case because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And so what we need to figure out is when does it work versus when does it not work, so that you guys know when it's appropriate to use it versus when you can't use it. Okay? So on this website here, I'll flip my computer over. You can kind of see that I've got parts of a triangle kind of created right now. I've got an angle, which is at 30 degrees. That's kind of set in place for me. And then I have this other side, which says B is 16. That's that side A to C. And then what's happening with that third side? You see how it's kind of swinging back and forth, almost like a pendulum? Okay. That's the side that I'm going to kind of play around with a little bit here and see what happens when I start to maybe make that side smaller, bigger, equal, all those kind of things, and see what kind of triangles we get here. Now, right now, if you guys look at this, how many triangles are in this picture? None. There's no triangle, okay? Because when that side is going back and forth, the second it crosses that dotted line at the bottom of the screen there, it'll start to light up the triangles that it's creating. So that side is starting out at 7. It's not long enough to actually make a triangle. Okay, this would be like the case if, yesterday you guys had, I had a couple of you come up with the markers and you tried to like create different triangles. This would be if I gave you 3 side lengths that no matter how you tried to lay them, there'd be a gap because one of them is just not quite long enough to make the triangle. That's what's going on here. So we see that when A is 7, it's way too short, and it doesn't even make a triangle, okay? I'm going to try to increase it a little bit. So I'm going to put A up to 12. How many triangles do you see now in this picture?
2.
There's 2, okay? But they're both using the angle side rule, okay? I'm going to do my best here to get this thing to stop where I want it to stop at. Oh, I got close. So if I had that side all the way over on C to B1 there, then going from A up to C down to B1 is 1 triangle. But then if I have this go again, and I stop it there, oh, I almost had it. There we go. That one is also a triangle, A to C to B2. And they have the same criteria. They both have that angle of 30 degrees. They have the one side of 16, and they have another side of 12. So in this case, if I was trying to use angle side, I could potentially get 2 different triangles. Okay, let's see if I increase this a little bit. So I'm going to keep swinging that pendulum again. I'm going to start increasing this. Let's just go up one at a time. Is 13 going to work? Or do I still have 2 triangles in this picture? Okay, what about 14? Does 14 work? How many triangles do you have? Still 2. In order for angle side to work, we only want 1 triangle in the picture. Okay, let's try 15. What's happening to that triangle like on the left? It's getting really, really small. So I feel like we're getting close. What if it's 16? How many triangles are there? Just 1. Okay, what if I put it up to 18? Still just 1 triangle? What if I make it really big, like 30? Still just 1 triangle? Okay. All right, now I didn't really change anything about the other 2 pieces. Like I kept the 30 degrees and I kept the 16. Let's say I changed the angle. Someone give me an angle. 80 I heard. Let's change it to 80. Someone give me a number for side B. What? 23. Okay. Let's get this back down to something small. Let's start at 15. Okay. Is that enough to make a triangle? No. Okay. So let's see what happens here if we start to increase 15. Let's go up to, I don't know, 20. Still not a triangle? Still not a triangle. Okay. This time the sides are equal again, right? And I get 1 triangle. What happens if I have it go up to like 26? Still 1 triangle? Okay. Let me, I'm going to change my angle again. Someone give me another angle. 40. Give me something less than 15 for a side. 8. Okay. Let's try 5. Is 5 going to work? Does 7 work? How many triangles do I have? 2. What do you think is going to happen when I switch this number to an 8?
Still gonna be 2.
It's still going to be 2 triangles?
I know, it's gonna be 1.
1 triangle?
Yep.
What happens is I continue to increase the side of that triangle. If I make this now like 14. Is it still just 1 triangle? Are you guys recognizing a relationship between the 2 sides? When do I get 1 triangle versus 2? When they're the same or the second side is more? Is that what you said? Okay, so he's saying that when that second side is bigger than the first side or it's equal to the first side, then we have angle side working. If that second side is smaller, so like if I had this back at like 12, let's just say, and I put this one down to 10, then I get 2 triangles. 10 is smaller than 12. But if it was 12 or more for that second side, then I would get down to my 1 triangle. So I want us to summarize this back on our notes here. So let's go back to our note sheet. So we've talked about this case, when it works versus when it doesn't work. And so what I want you guys to take away from that activity was that the only time you're allowed to use angle side 1, side 2 is when the second side is bigger or equal to the first side. So I'm going to say only works when side 2 is greater than or equal to side 1. Okay, also take a note of how they wrote this rule up here. A, S1, S2. That is how you should write it as well going forward. If you feel like you can use that, I want to see you write angle side 1, side 2. Don't just write ASS. Okay? Sometimes we can use it. You have to, though, be able to see that that second side is clearly bigger than the first one. Or if they give you numbers, you need to be able to check, like, this number is 10 and this number is 8, so it should work. They won't always give you numbers, so there might be times where you just have to look at the picture. Usually, if we're letting you use angle side side, it's obvious that the second one would be bigger. Like, you should just be able to see it by the eye. You don't have to have a measurement. Okay, so now what I want us to do is practice using these, because right now, to some of you, it's just a bunch of letters. You know, how do I know when to use all these tests? Because there's 5 now that we could possibly be using. So what we're going to get into is they're going to give you a pair of triangles that we're trying to see if they could possibly be congruent to each other. And we need to look at how they're marked, because the markings on our triangle allow us to know which test we want to use. So all of these problems down here are giving you 2 triangles with some things marked on them. We need to be able to say, yes, they're congruent, or no, they're congruent. And if we're saying yes, we have to be able to prove why. Give some kind of justification. What test or what of the 5 rules that we talked about earlier today work? Is it side, side, side? Is it angle, side, angle? Like, which one are we going to say applies?
Side,
Okay, why do you say side, side, side for this one?
because all the sides are marked.
All the sides are marked. You guys see all those dashes? We've talked about those before, right? That means that things are congruent to each other. So something that I'll see students do is I'll write little maybe S's by the markings just to kind of keep track of what they've got marked. But yeah, if I go around, it's side, side, side. All 3 triangles have the same 3 sides. So we should be able to say, yes, they're congruent because of side, side, side. Okay, let's take a look at B together. What's marked on letter B? An angle. Which angle? Well, there's like a little, it looks like a little degree symbol, or like a little O maybe. They're going to use like random markings for angles sometimes. They won't always do that. Sometimes they'll use like arcs, like we've seen in the past. But this is an angle here, so I'm going to put a little A there, and this is an angle too. Those match. What else is marked on this triangle? Sides. Side here, side there.
Side angle side.
Side angle side? When you're trying to see if a test works, guys, it needs to be pretty fluid. Like, you should be able to put your finger on one of the pieces and it should flow nicely to the next couple of pieces. You should not be skipping over a bunch of the parts on your triangle. What I mean by that is, if I started at this side here and I went this way to try to connect side to angle, you skipped over this angle, this side, and this angle. That's way too much that you're skipping on the triangle. They should be a little bit more connected than that. So that would tell me you went the wrong way. Okay? Instead of going this way, I would try to go this way, because if you start here, side, I hit the angle, and then I hit the side. That's what I mean when I say it should be like fluid. Okay? Now you might skip something every once in a while. Like, you might skip an angle to connect, like, angle to the side to the next side. You might skip an angle here or there, or you might skip a side to connect 2 angles. That's okay. It becomes an issue when you start skipping over a lot of pieces on the triangle that aren't marked. So if you skip over a side or a angle because you're connecting pieces, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I'd be more concerned about, I just skipped over 2 angles and a side. I feel like I skipped over a lot there. That's probably when you should go back and think, do I need to reverse the way I went around my triangle? All right, what do you guys think about for C? What? Side, side. Because we have sides marked, right? Side, 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 side. Did we have a test that, like we said yesterday, worked? Did side, side work, or was side, side one of those weird cases? It didn't work, right? Okay, so some of you might be thinking, well, then this is a no. What if I told you, though, that this is a yes? What? How do you know that, though? Yeah, we have 2 sides. Right, we have those 2 sides, but that's not enough to say that these triangles are congruent. We need a third piece. Not transitive, but I like where your brain's at. Do you have a question? Yeah. I like where you're thinking, Morgan, but we're not going to use transitive. Haley? Vertical. What's vertical? You don't know? What makes you think vertical? The triangles are flip-flopped. Okay. Do you guys see where they make that X in the middle? We talked about that a lot in the last unit. Remember, this is what I would call like the bow tie shape. What happens in the bow tie shape? Vertical angles are formed at that intersection. So what do we know about vertical angles? They're congruent. So this angle here is actually congruent to this angle here because they're true vertical angles. We can recognize that because of the way that those triangles intersect each other. So because it's not marked, but I know what vertical angles look like, I can add markings to my triangle. So actually, what test is this working for? Side, angle, side. Because once I include that angle in there, it allows me to say yes. Anytime you see vertical angles like that, if they're not marked, you guys have the ability now to mark them. If you also have triangles that overlap and share like a side, you can use that side as well, even if it's not marked. So if you think about, like I say to some kids in the past, maybe when you were younger and your mom would pack you a lunch, she'd make you a sandwich and she'd cut it all fancy and she'd do the triangle style, right? This side here, is that shared between the 2 triangles? Yeah. So when you took your sandwich and you split it apart, did one side of the sandwich get significantly smaller or bigger than the other side? No. So when you look at that, anytime you see a shape where there's 2 triangles bumped up against each other like that and they share a side, that side could be marked. So if it's not, you could go and put a dash through it or a couple dashes, whatever you want. So I'm just letting you guys know that because you're going to see that happen sometimes. And you maybe want to add those markings so that you can then use one of the tests that we talked about. So here's what I want you guys to do. There are 6 more in this area, D through I. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I want you to do all of 6 of those by yourself, and then we will come together and make sure you got them right.
So like when it has like these markings, that means like a thing.
Yeah, they use random symbols like this. I usually use arcs. So if you're used to seeing arcs like that, that's the same thing as what they're trying to.
Okay, so then this one.
Right.
Wait, so it would only be a no if like it's not one of these.
If it's not one of these 5. Yeah, from that list. If it doesn't work for one of these, it's a no. You've got 30 more seconds, and then we're going to talk about them together. All right, let's start going over these here. And if you know, don't be shy. I want to hear from you guys and get a variety of you talking to me about what you see. What do you guys think? Who feels really confident about letter D? Jackson, what'd you say? ASA, and you said yes? Okay, if you look at what's marked up here, these little symbols inside the triangle are marking angles, and then you have that side in the middle. So I agree with him. That should be angle, side, angle. Good. Somebody different. Letter E. Macy. AAS. Did I mark that correctly? Yeah. Everyone agree that? With AAS for that one? So that's another yes. Okay. Someone else, tell me what you're thinking for F. Parker? Angle, 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 and what? No. So it's a no? They have only 3 angles marked here, guys. Can you add anything else to the picture? Are there, we don't really maybe want to mark any more angles, but are there any shared sides that you can see? No. So something I want you guys to understand is I know that they maybe look congruent, but if they don't have the markings that are required for one of those 5 tests, it's a no. So because we only have angles marked here, we have to say no for this one. Good. All right. Somebody else out there, G. Greer, what do you think?
They're congruent because it's AS1, S2.
Okay. Let's double check that. So we have an angle here, and this would be side 1, this would be side 2. Is side 2 bigger than side 1, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, are they giving you a number for that? No. But if you look at B to C, it looks longer than B to A does. So that's why we can say that this one works for angle side 1, side 2. Okay? And if you write that down, make sure you have those little numbers as well. All right? How about for H? Someone who hasn't talked to me yet. Keegan.
Would it be SS?
So you see these sides marked?
Yeah.
Is SS one of our tests that we can use?
Right there.
Is that one of the 5, though?
No.
Okay. So you're right in that there's 2 sides marked. Is there anything else that you could add to the picture, though?
Angle.
Which one?
Great question.
I don't think you can add any angles.
No.
I don't see any vertical angles happening in this picture. Someone want to help him out with what can we add? Lacey?
Side.
A side. Which side?
In between them.
In between. You see how HJ is shared?
Yep.
It's kind of like the sandwich problem I had up here.
Yep.
They're 2 triangles shoved together. So if they share that side, you guys should be able to mark that same side in the middle there. So it's not marked, but you guys have the ability to mark that because it's sharing that side in the middle. It's going to be the same for both triangles. Even if I separate them, that side's going to stay the same length. So that's your 3rd side. So does it work now for side, side, side?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, last one in this area. Somebody else who hasn't talked to me yet today. Do you have an answer, Ben?
You said you wanted to go.
Anyone have an answer written out there? All right, Jackson, what do you think?
No.
What's marked?
A, S.
Yep. And we can't mark anything else, right? There's no vertical angles. There's no shared side this time. AS is not one of the tests that we talked about. All of our 5 tests had 3 letters. We only have 2 here, so this one had to be another no. All right, Questions on those up there? Do you have a question? Okay. If we come down here to 5, we're going to do the same thing, guys. We're still checking to see if it satisfies one of these patterns. But they're also now asking us to write out a congruence statement. We've done this before. We've written out congruent statements where we were matching up parts of our letters to shapes and we were doing like reflections, rotations, and all that stuff. So we know how to do this. We're just going to add it on now to our problems. All right, so let's take a look at this first one, letter A together. Look at those 2 triangles over there. What do they have marked? An angle, angle, and a side? Here's an angle, here's an angle, here's a side. Here's another angle, angle, and another side. AAS is one of our tests, and it goes kind of in a pattern there. Again, we're not skipping over a whole bunch of things to connect those letters together. So we should be able to say yes, angle, angle, side. All right, now the only thing that's different here is I need us to write out a congruent statement. So someone give me a name for the triangle on the left. EDC works. Okay, so now looking at the right triangle, what letter should E match with, JD? M, you said?
N.
E and N?
The M.
N.
Which one?
Oh, N.
Why?
Then like you can make a tile for
Why?
Because when you have E and go up to D, there's no line. But when you have M and then go to N, there's no line.
Okay, so you're using the markings on the picture to help you match them up, right? Also, like, look at E. What little symbol's in the angle there? That little O. So what other letter has a little O by it? M does. So that's why M needs to go first. What matches with D then? D has an X. N. And then C goes with C. What kind of angle's happening here by C? These are vertical, so they're not marked. You could mark them if you wanted to, if it was helpful. We didn't need that angle for this picture to do this problem. We were already had enough to like use a test, but if I didn't have enough, maybe I would have seen that angle, I would have marked it up, and then someone could have maybe argued using angle side angle instead because they're using that vertical angle, the side that's marked, and then maybe the X would satisfy angle side angle. So you can add things to your picture if that feels like it would be helpful for you. All right, how about letter B?
Angle, side angle,
Where's that side at?
in between.
In the middle. Again, these are like bunched up triangles or side by side. So this side here is congruent for both triangles. So I'm going to mark that. And then that allows us to say angle, side angle. So this is another yes. Angle, side, angle. If I say D, E, C, what do you guys say for the other one? REC? Everyone agree with Logan? Good. Okay, questions?